What's up, ATLians? What's up, Joe? We are ATLians United Podcast. This is episode number 18. I'm Blake the Marshman, joined by my co-host
ATL, Joe.
And we are here on a Five Stripe Friday, ready to preview this upcoming weekend. We got the roof open. We got the Philadelphia Union coming to town.
Let that sunshine in.
We're going to get you caught up on all the Atlanta news you need to know. And Joe and I were actually on the news this week.
That was fun.
That was cool. Also, we're going to recap, unfortunately, our draw in New England. I don't know what happened there. Thanks, guys, for listening. If you like the show, it's Friday. We're cheering for the Five Stripes. Rate us 5 stars. Let's do this thing.
One second, big wall. We ready, need everybody inbound. We ready. Some days I smile like Mickey. Everybody united around my city. Mercedes Benz sound real pretty. Come stop for me and I'm ready.
What's happening in Atlanta, Joe? What's going on?
Oh, this is a great week. More festivals, still festival season.
We got more festivals this weekend, and this is one of my favorite, actually, the Candler Park Festival. If you guys haven't checked out Candler Park before, beautiful little park right in the heart of the city on the east side. Beautiful neighborhood, beautiful park. Some great bands this year. Lettuce, which is one of my favorite funk bands to go listen to.
Band.
Yeah, Keller Williams is going to be there. I think Government Mule is playing on Saturday. Unfortunately, they're playing during the Atlanta United game, so I would encourage our listeners, if they want to check out Candler Park Fest this weekend, maybe just go for Friday because we got more important things to handle Saturday night in the Benz.
Or make a day out of it. I always thought, so one of the hidden gems in Atlanta is Candler Park Golf Course. Wake up early, get there, play 9 holes of golf, 8 a.m., 10 a.m., whatever, pack it up, walk next door, and listen to some music, and then pack it up and Uber all down to the Benz and watch Atlanta United play to get back on their win track.
Hey, that's a great idea. Candler Park. Check it out before the game. What else we got? We got Atlanta Food and Wine Festival. If you like food and you like wine, I'm guessing this would be the festival for you. Everyone likes food and wine, though, right? I mean, that's a pretty common thing.
It's a great combination.
Yeah. Friend of the podcast, Kellen Wolber, is actually volunteering at this. So if you guys run into some volunteer named Kellen, be sure to, be like, hey, you're a friend of ATLians United Podcast, so are we. You guys can high five. Check us out at our live event coming up, Red Hare, June 29th, little ATLians United news. Also, big news for Atlanta United this weekend. We talked about it in the intro. The roof is going to be open, Joe.
The roof is open.
And hopefully sunshine will be pouring through because apparently
we don't need no water. Let the roof shine.
Apparently they were going to, obviously hoping for sunshine, but the roof doesn't close right now. So it's open for 10 days for construction. So I guess if it rains, we'll just deal with it.
Yeah, it's open 10 days straight. They're not shutting it no matter what. It was open starting on Tuesday, and it hasn't shut, so it's been open in the rain. I'm guessing that it's going to be angled rain, and we're going to get rain on half of the field and not on the other half of the field, and it's going to be kind of interesting to watch. That'd be fun.
We've been getting some weird apocalyptic weather recently in Atlanta where it goes from torrential downpour to sunny to torrential downpour to sunny all in the same day. So we might get rain and sun on Saturday. I honestly don't even know.
Have you ever seen the rain on a sunny day?
I don't know. I'm about to, hopefully, because it's going to rain goals on Saturday night.
Oh, I hope so.
It's about
Atlanta
time.
has been on a goal drought compared to what we were used to in the Benz last year, scoring 3, 4, 5 goals per game.
We need to pour them in. Other news, obviously, Atlanta United, while we're talking about goals, 1-1 draw in New England, led and dominated most of the game, and just kind of let it slip at the end. We'll get into more of that later. Random rumors online, Juan Fernando Quintero. He's a 25-year-old attacking midfielder from Argentina, has recently been linked to Atlanta United. Joe, you think there's any hope in this rumor, or is this just one of those internet?
Well, we're getting close to what they call silly season.
Yes.
And it's coming up to the transfer window, the international transfer window in the summer. So now you're going to hear all sorts of rumors and people going there and there. And Atlanta United being such a popular and hot team, they're going to be linked to every single player. But granted, this guy is going to be designated player level. So the only way we're going to be able to bring him onto our team is if we lose one of our designated players, like Miguel Almiron has been a big guy that linked to moving in the summer. So if he moves, we might go make a move for him. But we also, earlier last year, Lucas Rodriguez is another player we bought the rights to. So we've got all sorts of options, and he may come to the MLS. I don't think it's a true rumor.
Okay. So Joe says not true rumor. Rumors aren't true most of the time, but sometimes they are. That's why rumor has it that we might be getting this guy. We'll fill you in on that as we hear more info. Let's talk about the U.S. Open Cup coming up. Charleston Battery is going to be our opponent. It's going to be played up in Kennesaw. I think we've mentioned that before, but last year it was a torrential downpour. Speaking of apocalyptic weather, the game got delayed for what? I know you were there.
It was 3-hour delay.
3-hour delay on the game. Hopefully we have better weather this year.
We ran around in the rain. I was there with my girlfriend Jess, and we ran. Once it started raining, all the supporters just started waving their flags and marched around in the rain, and then they realized this game might not go on. So then pretty much everybody left, went across the street to Taco Mac and started drinking, and some of the real hardcore supporters made it back 3 hours later and watched the full game, and we almost gave it up. We're down 2-1, had an own goal scored on us, and came back in. We finally scored in 3-2 to go on. I want to mention one more thing, though. We'll preview this game next week. We're going to do a special release date. We're going to record on Tuesday, release early Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
Kind of conflicting schedules. We'll do a double preview of the U.S. Open Cup and then our game that weekend.
That's right. If you guys are subscribed, or if you're not subscribed, make sure you go ahead and hit subscribe so you get the latest ATLians United podcast Wednesday morning, preview that Open Cup game. It's going to be an exciting week. Hopefully we have better weather in Kennesaw this year and less of a dramatic result. I'd take like a nice 3-0 win. Sounds good to me. Let's see what else we got, Joe. Last night in Brew House, we hung our flag. So if you guys are around Brew House, it's the official bar, an official partner of our podcast now.
Official bar of ATLians United podcast.
And check out our flag right next to the entrance. If you guys walk in from either side, you will see it hanging rowdy and proud.
It's a wonderful place to go watch a game. A lot of the supporters have their own local bars, which are also great places to go watch if you're a part of a supporters group. But if you want another experience, come out to Brew House. It's used to be a Resurgence bar last year, and they moved on. So now it's a ton of space, still a bunch of singing and rowdy supporters, and there's a good outside patio space that's not quite as rowdy, where you can get plenty of TV action and watch the game.
Yeah, great spot to watch a game. I mentioned earlier, Joe and I were actually on the news. We were actually on the news last night, Fox 5, live from Brew House. So if you guys, watch the news, which I don't think anyone does anymore, maybe my grandparents, very few people watch the news. But if you watch the news, we were on it. And finally, we got SoccerCon coming up June 23rd. It's going to be at Reraw in Midtown, World Cup Watch Party. We'll have our tent there. Joe and I will be there. Come meet us. Come talk to us, and we will be your friends forever. We're still first place in the Supporter Shield, Joe. That's really all I'm taking away from the New England game. That's exciting. Still number one.
We got a point to add a little bit of separation. 3 points would have been huge, but we were able to get a point. Let's break this down further. But first off, Blake, tell me who's hurting.
Injury report. Injury report.
The injuries have hit us once again, Joe. We all check out the lineup before every game, and it's like, okay, who is playing? We are so excited. We talked about it last episode. We got a full-strength team, and guess what happens midweek? Well, Garza has a shoulder surgery, and Tito Villalba hyperextends his knee in training, and all of a sudden 2 of our best players are out. Garza's out minimum of 4 months. That's pretty much the entire year.
That hurts.
And then Tito is day-to-day hyperextended knee, but they haven't really released a lot of information on it. I've had knee injuries before. Those things are terrible.
That really
You just
hurts.
never know how long he's going to be out. Man. So that's obviously the injury report. Not good news on the Atlanta United front. I don't think we picked up any fresh injuries in the New England game from what I read and what I saw. But still, this was a tough one. Against New England, obviously, we had LGP out. He was actually suspended due to yellow card accumulation, which I know we've mentioned before, is when you hit a certain amount of yellow cards, the MLS goes ahead and suspends you. It's a way of kind of refereeing disciplinary-wise in terms of who's on the field, who's not. We got a couple other players that are creeping up. Chris McCann, Jeff Lorenowitz, Miggy, and Romario, 4 yellow cards apiece.
Romario has 3.
Romario has 3. So it's at 5 that you get suspended, correct?
If you get a 5th yellow card throughout the season, you get suspended for 1 game. It's yellow card accumulation.
Yeah.
Now, they have a yellow card forgiveness, and if you're good behavior for 3 straight games, you can get a reduction on that yellow card. So there is a chance for us to come back from it. But Miguel Almiron needs to stop yelling at the ref. I don't know what he says to keep getting these yellow cards. Chris McCann is just playing hard, and I don't care what he does. I want him to keep playing aggressive.
Yeah.
And same with Larry. If they go in for a hard foul, that's okay. But stay clean this game, because what's looming next is a rematch against NYCFC, another shot at first place in the league again.
Yeah. That's a
and then
tough
right
place.
after that is Columbus. So those are the 2 teams right behind us in the standings. So stay clean this game. Let's get through the next few game stretches.
Yeah.
And Tito Villalba injury, you said it's day to day, but he hurt his knee. And he's already had a hamstring injury. He was just about to break through the starting lineup. I had him finally in the starting 11 again. And midweek he gets hurt. I think this is bad news. They mentioned day to day, but I think this is going to be a couple weeks. The one good thing to take away from this is he didn't tear anything. He doesn't have to have surgery. So it's one of those, he needs to rest it up, maybe give him 2 weeks off or so, and then get him healthy again to get back in the lineup.
Yeah, we'll see about Tito. We'll see about, obviously, Garza's just out. We'll see if anything else pops up midweek. But hopefully Saturday we at least have the same starting 11 that we had for this last game that dominated most of the game, if we're honest. But enough with injuries. No one wants to talk about that all day. It's time for the recap.
We tied 1-1.
Ugh.
And it was a last-minute goal, last-minute penalty after we had berated with a bunch of missed shots right at the goalie. That is one way to turn 1 point on the road to feel like a loss.
It hurt.
It was very frustrating, very devastating to get a tie out of this. When usually a tie on the road, you feel good coming home. But we kind of feel like we lost 2 extra points.
Yeah, we should have won this without a doubt. We could have won 4 or 5-0, honestly, based on chances we had, in my opinion.
Yeah, we had early on Gresselmania with his assist to Joseph Martinez.
Great ball.
Great ball. He gets played down the line. I think Joseph had a great game in finding great space. But Gressel on his cross, he cuts it back and plays it to the open space, where Joseph Martinez, who was running in on goal, kind of lures there, and Gressel plays between all the defenders, Miguel up at the top of the box, and Joseph. And then it just kind of lets Miggy or Joseph make their decision who's going to go to the ball, and it just so happened to work out.
Yeah, tons of space. Great goal by Joseph. Great goal.
And Gressel also had another great cross at the second half, and where he laid it across, and Mikey Ambrose went in. A lot of people said it could have been a penalty. I think Gressel should have laid it off to Nagby, who was sitting right next to him, wide open. But he didn't. He laid it across. Mikey Ambrose going in for a great shot, lunges for the ball, and a guy coming in sliding behind him. What do you think? Was that a penalty?
It was 50-50. I don't think that one was a penalty per se. Could have been, depending on the ref. But the fact that they didn't even VAR it tells me that, they're pretty confident it wasn't a penalty.
Yeah, and it was a bang-bang play. I actually would agree with you completely on that. Seeing it live action, it looked like it could have gone either way. I didn't know. And then if you had to watch the replay over and over again, I still think it may have been inconclusive. You could have leaned one way or the other. If you're Atlanta biased, you might say penalty. But I agree with the ref on this one. It was a decent no call and just let it go.
Yeah, I mean, Joe, we dominated this game. I can't reiterate that enough to our listeners. Like, we deserved to win the game on the field, like in terms of chances created, possession, shots on goal. We won all that.
You look at the stat sheet, and we won all the major stats. It was close. I mean, there were close, but and if you look at it, you might think it was a closer game than it was. But if you watch the game itself, the eye test doesn't fail. Atlanta United dominated most of the game.
Yeah.
What killed them was their finishing in the final third. And that's one thing I want to take away from this game is we have got to fix that. Miguel Almiron has had a very hard time finishing this year.
Shooting practice.
Ezequiel Barco's been very good at it, but this game was one of his off games. He had 3 clear chances. The one that most people might want to point out is the one where he shot at the goalie, made it save and off the crossbar.
Yeah.
Props to the goalie on that one.
That was a good save.
Great save. But he had multiple other chances to put the ball away, and Atlanta just shot themselves in the foot over and over again by not putting the game away. 2 goals, 3 goals, and then the penalty at the end wouldn't have mattered. But
Yeah.
let's talk about that penalty. Kevin Kratz comes in as their sub. He's a defensive replacement to close out the game. Comes in for Barco. We go to more of a defensive shift, and you got Kevin Kratz playing, stabs at the ball twice, his second time, falling down, defender away from the ball, and kind of lunges into the back and slips. The defender falls. A clear foul in the box. Soft as it was a definite foul.
Clear penalty.
And
Yeah.
it was a clear penalty and just threw away the game. Just gave them that goal.
Here's my takeaway, Joe. And I think a lot of fans are quick to jump on the referees. I thought this game, obviously we control the whole thing. Like you said, we don't put the game away when we should have. It's like the whole game our players were like, "Oh, we got this. We're still up 1-0. No worries. We're up 1-0. Oh, we missed a chance. Still up 1-0. We're going to win the game." They're not creating anything on attack, them being New England. We're good. We're good. We're good. Kratz comes in. He's definitely more of an attacking player. Defense is not his strong suit. Great at free kicks. More of a central attacking midfielder. Not necessarily a central defensive midfielder. Sloppy tackle. We tie the game. Brad punts the ball into the stands. Gets a yellow card. All that being said, I go back to what I initially said. We jump on the refs too easily. This was a fantastically refereed game. It was the best refed game I've seen from any MLS ref all season. So, new segment, maybe if they keep reffing such good games. This is my ref of the week. And his name is Silviu Patriciu. And he is an MLS ref, former MLS referee of the year in 2012. This guy is awesome. He is a part-time taxi cab driver, part-time referee. He was born in Romania. I know I mentioned we needed to bring in more international refs, so here you go. And currently resides in Ontario, Canada. And, his father was also a FIFA referee, so it runs in the family. So that's my little segment on our ref of the week.
Give me his name again.
Silviu Patriciu.
Silviu Patriciu.
Yes, he is Romanian. He is 49 years old, and I thought he did a fantastic job calling the game last night. If players went down too easy, he was just like, get up. You know, you could see him. You know, and any sort of controversial call, he was quick to make a decision. He listened in his headset a couple times to make sure he got the call right without having to do the whole VAR thing. Like, he kept the game flowing. I thought it was a great job. And the crucial calls, I think he got right.
Blake, I want to agree with you. And a lot of Atlanta fans, I heard a couple people saying there should have been a foul there, should have been a penalty there, want to blame stuff on the ref. As a soccer fan and just unbiased standby watching the game, I thought the ref made a great call, made great calls all night. And this is one of the best refs we've had, and I would vote for him to be our ref as many games as possible. That way we don't have to see the likes of Geiger and the horrible calls that we've had in recent history. I want to give props to the ref this game. He did not blow it. And bottom line is, we tied on the road. Points are hard to come by on the road.
Yeah.
And a good stat for Atlanta, we're still first place in the standings. We are still on pace to beat the points that Toronto had last year. And remember, they broke a record of most points ever scored in an MLS season.
Yeah.
Atlanta United is still on pace to beat that record. So if we keep at it, what really needs to happen is get back on this win streak.
Let's get 3
And
this
I'll
weekend.
talk about this. Let's get this bad taste out of our mouth, Blake. I need a beer. Beer of the week!
Every week.
Every week. We got Red Brick Brewing Company this week, and we got a good summer beer for you.
Fantastic.
It's called Homestead. It's described as a dry hopped Pilsner, which Pilsners are great for a summer day, a crisp, refreshing taste, and rather light as well.
Yeah, it's dry hopped with Mosaic and Cascade hops. It's delicious.
Let me spike this one in for us.
All right, to our listeners, here we go.
ATL. Whoa!
Ho!
That thing popped on me.
Man, I should have brought my umbrella this week. Gonna bring that next week.
That one had a little bit of an explosion at the end.
Yeah, to our new listeners, Joe spikes beer home with the golden spike of Atlanta United every week. And it can be kind of a sticky situation post-spike.
Some beers accept the spike. Some beers reject the spike. But the spike gets the job done every time.
Gets the job done. So Red Brick Brewery, kind of claiming to be one of Atlanta's original craft breweries. Red Brick's been around longer than pretty much anyone.
It is the oldest brewery in Atlanta.
Yeah, first time we featured him here on the show, 1993 is when Red Brick Brewery opened up. I was 3 years old, so wasn't quite at a drinking age yet. What about you, Joe? Were you drinking around that age?
I wasn't at a drinking age, but I started drinking at a rather young age, and I enjoy my brews. I'm pretty sure I was drinking from the womb.
Yeah. So this beer is the Homestand dry hopped Pilsner. Again, Red Brick dedicates this one to the city, the sports, and the local brewing community. We obviously support the local brewing community. I'm wearing my Drink Georgia Beer t-shirt tonight in honor of the brewing community.
I think
great beer from Red Brick.
I think this, to describe the flavor of it, it's really crisp and refreshing. It tastes kind of like a hopped LaCroix.
A hopped
How do you say that? LaCroix?
LaCroix.
LaCroix?
LaCroix. My office that I work at has them in the fridge, and I drink about 4 a day, so I'm very familiar with LaCroix. And this is a lot better than a hopped LaCroix.
So a very drinkable beer, good for a hot day, and very refreshing.
Man, this is a great beer. I'm going to continue to partake in this hopped LaCroix. I'm just kidding. This hopped Red Brick deliciousness. It's time that we preview this upcoming weekend, Joe.
We are playing Philadelphia Union.
It's always sunny.
And we're bringing it back home to the Benz. The sphincter muscle has opened up, and it is wide open. Sunshine, raining coming down. It doesn't matter. We're playing with that roof open.
It's not It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia anymore.
Arthur Blank
It's
said,
always sunny in the Benz.
Arthur Blank said, dang it, that roof is staying open. We were going to play another game with that roof open, and he made it happen.
Quick thing about the roof I want to hit on, and I forgot to say this earlier, but I did read a report that after this construction is finished, which we've heard it before, that the opening of the roof is going to be part of like the pregame segment intro, get the crowd hyped, where over about 8 to 12 minutes, they do some cool graphics, maybe do a cool intro, national anthem, and then the whole crowd will sit and watch the roof open up right before kickoff.
Maybe as we're chanting the We Ready chant.
How sick would that be?
Or will we have to have our own little roof opening chant?
I don't know. What would it be? You got something? I heard you sing it earlier.
Let the sun shine in.
Yeah.
Let the sun shine in.
Mercedes-Benz.
Shine in.
Man, we need to stop with
that would
our
be
songs.
really, really bad. We need to stop doing these singing chants and get back to more of just like a chanting, saying word chant.
Just like hard adjectives like go, fight,
win. I'm
Yeah.
sure our listeners hate listening to me or you with our little high-pitched singing voices because, no, I think that's wrong. I take all of that back. Our voices are beautiful, and we will
Joe.
keep singing.
Thank you. I was worried for a second that you were going to continue down this negativity train about our singing capabilities, and I don't need that right now. I don't need that negative energy. I have a song prepared for next episode, and I don't want you to crush my hopes and dreams.
Well, then we're going to hear that song next episode.
Okay.
We're going to need to get back onto the positive vibes.
You just hurt my feelings.
We're playing Philadelphia Union this week, and I guaranteed a win last episode. I thought we were going to go into New England. We were the better team and win. We should have won, but we didn't. And now Atlanta United is kind of in a funk. Atlanta United has lost 2 games recently, tied 1, and drawn 1.
Yeah.
Or won 1.
Yeah. Tied and drawn is the same thing.
And Philadelphia Union's coming in here quite the opposite. They have won 3 games and tied 1 out of their last 4.
They're hot.
They are red hot. The only one they tied was on the road against New York Red Bull, a team that came in here and beat us. They tied them 0-0 in a hotly contested game, and they should have won that game. They missed a penalty. CJ Sapong, their striker, missed a penalty kick that would have given them the lead, and they had multiple other chances.
Yeah. Well, you talk about the hottest team in the MLS in terms of like what they're pacing for. I know you said we're on track to break the points record. The only, Red Bulls are actually on track to break our current rate because they're 2 games in hand with us, So Red Bulls, again, might be the class of the league. The teams in New York looking really strong this year.
And so Philadelphia Union went into their house and kept them to a 0-0 draw.
Very impressive.
A quick stat on the Union, how hot they've been. They've outscored opponents 9-2 in the past 4 games, earning 10 points. They just came off a win on Wednesday, the same night that we tied. They won 3-1 against Chicago Fire, a team that we thought was one of the best in the league to begin the season, but they're faltering right now.
Yeah, well, they bought old talent. I mean, Schweinsteiger is a great player, but he is getting up there in age. He's really the anchor piece of the Fire.
Yeah, and I will say Dax McCarty was not playing in that game.
Okay.
And I had to go back and look. I think Nikolic was not in the game either.
Yeah, he also missed that game. Let's talk about the Unions. Obviously, they have fast wingers, and they come out in a very similar formation to what we thought our formation was going to be this year, right? They come out in like a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
Or kind of a 4-3-3, if you will. And Bedoya, obviously a U.S. international for fans that keep up with the USA national team, who unfortunately won't be at the World Cup this year.
Yeah, so let's get into it. Every week I kind of give you guys a couple players to watch for.
Yeah.
You just mentioned one, Alejandro Bedoya.
Uh-huh.
Former U.S. men's national team starter. He was part of the team that didn't make the World Cup. And he's a very questionable as to who you ask if they like Bedoya or not. I'm on the Bedoya fan side. I think he is a classic pro, very great guy, level-headed, very smart with the ball. But I'm also going to say he's part of the generation of U.S. soccer that's that gap of he always leaves you wanting more.
Yeah.
He is not world class. He is just good. He is not take you to the next level, but he will hold you at the level that you're already at.
Yeah. So who are some other studs for obviously Philadelphia?
Well, I mentioned that they went on this 9 goals and only 2 against them. A big reason for that is they have a classic, great MLS goalkeeper in Andre Blake.
And international. He's a Jamaican international, and he's been honestly awesome on the international stage every time I've seen him.
And last year when we played against them, we had a tie. I remember he made a couple of amazing highlight reel diving saves. Gresselmania had a shot from 30 yards out going in the goal, and Blake comes out of nowhere and deflects it away. This guy is part of Jamaica's golden age of youth coming up. Romario Williams is another cat that is on that Jamaican team, one of our own, Romario.
Yeah.
And there's Jamaicans flooded in the MLS, a bunch of guys under the age of 25. Blake, I believe, is 24 and still making highlight reel plays. And he's one guy that's going to keep them in every single game.
Yeah, Blake's still a young goalkeeper with a lot of talent. I have naturally a soft spot for him due to his name. He's actually 27. He's creeped up there, but goalkeepers, last a lot longer than normal players. He went to college at UConn, so he's a USA guy. He's got his green card, signed a Generation Adidas contract with the MLS. So watch out, Andre Blake. We had obviously a really great keeper performance against us against the Revolution. Hopefully we do not see it again, but if it is, this guy's a good keeper to watch out for.
And so that brings us to our third player to watch, and their top scorer and top assist, Borik Dokal.
Yeah.
3 goals, 6 assists on the season. Philadelphia Union is really built in the middle of the field. they've got one of the best midfield trios or pairings that you can have in the MLS with Bedoya and Doccal, a guy that's really great distributing the ball and really great at putting it in the net. And he pairs with Bedoya very well. And then they've got a young player I didn't put on the list, but I got to mention Madunjanin.
Yeah, he's great.
He's a great free kick artist. And the pairing of Doccal, Madunjanin, and Bedoya all playing off each other, they're going to give us threats in the midfield.
Yeah, I mean, and they're both European players. Like, Doccal and Madunjanin, Doccal is a Czech, footballer. He's played in Turkey. He's played in Norway. So coming from Europe, a lot of experience in the midfield. And Madunjanin, which is too much fun to say, is from Bosnia. And so they bring over a lot of European experience. Madunjanin is a little bit older. He's 33. Dockel is still just 29, so still in the prime of their career. This is a really good team. The saddest part about it is that no one supports Philadelphia in their city because the stadium's so far away from downtown. Because this is a really exciting team to watch.
Another one of those stadiums far away, kind of like what we just came back from Boston and nobody was at the game because the stadium's 2 hours away. A bunch of these northeastern teams and their big metropolis cities, but they build the stadiums to where no one can get to.
Metropolis. I like that. You said that. It's funny. No, but it's a good point, and it's a challenge to the MLS moving forward. If we go forward with these new expansion teams, which we're going to keep bringing in, obviously Nashville, I know, didn't Cincinnati just get approved to join the MLS? So look at the models that are working. Look at the models that have high attendance. Look at the models that are buying exciting young players, and invest in those to the MLS and whoever's running the giant corporation that is Major League Soccer, because it's not working in cities right now like Boston. It's not working in cities like Chicago or Philadelphia where they have tons of soccer fans in the city. But guess what? When they get off work at 5, they can't get to the stadium in time for the game. It's 2 hours away. It's a train, a taxi, a bus. Put your stadiums downtown, MLS. And if you get a new team, make sure their stadium is downtown where the fans inside the city can go and see a game. That's just my mini rant there.
Maybe take a note after Atlanta United, who has their stadium downtown. And we're playing this Philadelphia Union. And we've all already discussed their players to watch for. And they're built through the midfield. Well, now let's talk about how to break them down. Let's break it down a little further with Tata's tactics.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds like little World Cup out of Nigeria. You get those little Nigerian drums and have a little fun after they score a goal in the World Cup. They're going to be dancing.
The bongos. That could have been Jamaican music. Hopefully Andre Blake wasn't listening. Let's talk about tactics, Joe, because we both made the bold prediction, like we always do, because we are opinionated somewhat. At least you are. I think I'm opinionated. Am I opinionated?
We both do a podcast. We're opinionated.
Okay, so we thought that we were the master plan of Tata, the magician, the tactician, the genius behind Atlanta United's formation, was the 4-3-3. I thought that was what he built for. Like I said, I thought that Barco was coming in to replace Assad this year. I thought we were going to line up with that fearsome foursome, as I just came up with, of Joseph, Miggy, Barco, and Tito.
And it just made sense last week against New England, a team that high presses. We want to go back to that 4-3-3 to kind of
counteract,
hold the possession and counteract. But then midweek happened, and Tito Villalba gets hurt. So Tata had to put in Gresselmania, and who has been playing great in that 3-5-2 formation. And now that Tito is hurt for the unforeseeable future, it's going to be a 3-5-2 from here until Tito is healthy again.
And Garza out also takes away our strength at left back in a back four. McCann seems like he plays better as a third center back than as a left back, in my opinion. We brought in Ambrose to kind of play that wing back role this week. So I don't know if we're going to see the 4-3-3. I think we could in the future if Tito gets healthy and we see that attacking four up front. But you're right. I think for right now, with Tito day-to-day, Garza out, the 3-5-2 is probably here to stay.
It's here to stay. But now we're playing Philadelphia Union. I mentioned their midfield is good. Susceptible at defensive center backs. They've got 2 young 19-year-old kids starting. They've got a lot of high upside, but they're still very young. And it might be a very exciting game to see Miguel Almiron, Joseph Martinez, and Ezequiel Barco just running at them full speed and just playing with them, passing that ball, tiki-taka all the way around. I am finally hoping we're going to see 3 goals again at our home stadium.
I think we could. We talk about running at these young kids that Philadelphia has. One thing is, I've watched a little bit of Philadelphia this year, and it is not always been sunny for their center backs, but it has always been sunny for their speed because these guys are fast. So I don't think our speed is going to get past the Philadelphia defense because they are so young. They got those young, fresh legs that I no longer have. I don't know about you on that one either, but I think we might be able to beat them with a little bit of what you said, tiki-taka, just being smarter than they are because they tend to bite. And if, Barco or Miggy throws in a little fake and cuts back, I just think they're going to bite for it every time.
And maybe some of their fluid, what they've been really good at, their 1-2 passes and a pass and Barco makes a cut and Miguel finds them on the run.
Yeah.
And maybe Miguel Almiron will shoot a little less and find a little more Joseph on the back of the net.
Who's our best finisher, without a doubt.
Yeah, Miggy's had trouble finishing. Maybe it is time for him to back off shooting and maybe try to get more assists on the year and find Joseph Martinez and maybe Ezequiel Barco or other players flying down like WrestleMania, who was wide open on the back post all game long.
Yeah, no one was ever picking him up. I think what you talked about there, and we got to hit on it with Tata's tactics, is Tata was counting on goals from Tito, who's been obviously injury-riddled this year. And I think we're seeing a lot of that with our goal deficit right now compared to, what we're used to. Still playing great, but Tito brought a lot of goals in last year.
Yeah, he was one of the tops in the league if you put goals and assists combined. Tito Villalba ranked number 6 in the league. He was ahead of our very own Miguel Almiron, ahead of Joseph Martinez, because Joseph only had 19 goals and 1 assist. So you put Tito's goals and assists on top of that. The only players to go on top of him was League Win, Roman Alessandrini, Nemanja Nikolic, David Villa.
Yeah. I mean, Villalba is a huge, huge loss. We cannot hit on that enough. I mean, everyone forgets Tito is just 23 years old. He's in the prime of his career. I just hope that these injuries, and I know we're not an injury report right now, but I just hope that they're not nagging injuries because those like young promising players, and you've seen it because I know you've been a soccer fan forever, that like they'll come up, they're right around this 23, 24-year-old age. Like a couple of names pop in my mind. Jack Wilshere played for Arsenal. A couple big names in Europe. You come up and you're like, man, this kid is going to be great. And then they get one injury and they recover from that injury and they get another injury and they recover from that. And they just like their bodies. I don't know if it's training. It's a very rigorous endurance sport. I just really hoping, fingers crossed, knock on your wooden hammer, that this is not a nagging issue for Tito.
Well, we'll see. And now that we got this, I want to bring back a little segment that we had fun with a couple weeks ago. And it's cool to bring it back in. We did a little stock up, stock down.
Oh, yeah.
What players are benefiting, what players are not in recent form, who is going to get more playing time, and who is not.
Let's see. Let's go through this, Joe. How about I'll ask you what you think on some top players here. So, Gresselmania. One
of my favorites. I can wear his hat all the time, and I think his stock is way up. You got Tito Villalba coming off this injury that we've just been barreling on.
Mm-hmm.
And now Gresselmania is the clear starter, and even when Tito was breaking into the lineup, Gresselmania was holding down his spot, and he had such a great start to the year, and I think he had a great game this past game.
Yeah.
So he is going to hold down that right wing back for the foreseeable future.
And if we switch to the 4-3-3, I totally agree with you. I would say Gresselmania stock up because last year he's proven he can play in that front three on the right-hand side. So even if we switch back to the 4-3-3, he could play in Tito's spot.
Yeah, so that I think his stock is probably the highest right now out of all players.
And he's playing well. He's played well all season. Arguably one of our top players of the season. I would say in the top 3 players of the season right now. So I put Gresselmania. He's been crucial for us.
Okay, well, let's bring on another player.
Miles Robinson.
Miles Robinson, I was so high on him. I was thinking he was going to get a start. But seeing him not make the starting 11 last week, his stock just went down.
Yeah.
He came on and he's played great. And I was willing to put his stock way up. But the fact that he didn't start and didn't come into the game last week tells me that Tata values McCann over him and other players. So his stock is down, although I do think we're going to see more action from him.
Okay, quick thought on that. I think that his stock was up temporarily because, one, we actually had two center backs hurt at the same time because McCann was hurt, and then also Escobar had that mysterious thorax injury. But they both returned to the lineup, obviously, on Wednesday night in New England. So I don't know if his stock's necessarily down for me. For me, it's just flat. I think he's proven that he can come in and do a good job. So I'm not down on Miles Robinson. I don't think he's put a foot wrong this year, to be perfectly honest with you. I think he's played well every time he's played. And I hope to see more of him in the future. I just think right now he's kind of the odd man out when we have four other healthy center backs.
He's more of just a depth piece, and what a great depth piece to have.
Speaking of great depth, let's talk about a guy we just talked about, McCann, and then let's talk about a player that we hit on just briefly earlier, but I thought played excellently in New England last night. I thought he really stepped up. Mikey Ambrose, coming up from ATL UTD 2, getting that spot in Garza's position at a left wing back. What did you think about Ambrose and McCann this week?
Ambrose versus McCann, two great players, had great games, and I think both of them are on the rise. Stock up, up, up.
Totally agree.
This is great.
Take it to the top.
And so McCann starts at that center back and Ambrose on the left wing back. This game coming up against Philadelphia, LGP is back in the lineup, and you got to think that Tata inserts him back into center back. So the open position, is it going to be McCann or is it going to be Ambrose on that left wing back? And that's going to be who's going to win that battle. I think it's going to end up being Chris McCann because Tata Martino seems to be favoring McCann, and he's more of a pro, more veteran, and he's got a great left foot, great service, and he's had more time. But Ambrose for sure is going to make that 18, is going to be a sub that we can use easily. What do you think?
Okay, I'm gonna hit on a few things really quick here. Ambrose, I think, is totally different player than McCann. I think that if we stick with three at the back, McCann is not going to push up to that wing back position. I don't think he has the quickness that Ambrose has. Ambrose was very quick last night. He had some great 1-2s. He was up there attacking with Miggy, attacking with Barco, attacking with Joseph. I think McCann has thrived as a deeper lying center back this year. I think that's why we've seen the emergence of McCann. So I think they're two different positions, honestly. I think we're talking about left center back versus a left wing back. And I think Ambrose should start this next game. And then we'll have to see with LGP coming back in who gets dropped in that center back three. Does Escobar get dropped or does McCann get dropped? That's how I'm thinking, because I'm thinking our two center backs are definitely going to be LGP and Parkey. So then we got one more spot, and it's between McCann, Escobar, and a player we talked about earlier, Miles Robinson.
I think it's going to be Escobar, and I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be McCann takes over for Ambrose on that left wing back.
Okay, we'll agree to disagree. Let's just hit on a few more stock up, stock downs here really quick, Joe. Andrew Carlton, he's just kind of flat in terms of stock. He's bouncing up and down. Young kid, let's give him some time. Zizzo, let's just see if he plays
stock
in the future.
Way down.
I think stock's down as long as we stick with three at the back. Romario Williams has been coming on, and I think what do you think, Joe? I think maybe up?
I think his stock is rising, and we've got a lot of games coming up in a short stretch right here. So I think we're going to see more of Romario, and don't be surprised if he starts and plays the full 90 next week in the U.S. Open Cup against Charleston.
Yeah, to our listeners, we hit on it earlier in case you weren't tuned in. We are going to be doing a special preview of the U.S. Open Cup against Charleston. A lot of great players are hopefully going to feature a lot of our youth system, maybe some ATL UTD2 players, as well as some regulars hoping to bring home a cup this year in that separate cup competition. Finally, let's talk about two players who I think you will agree with me stock has gone way down. Brandon Vasquez, is he even going to see the field this year?
I don't know. He makes the 18, and he's been a key player last year. It'll be interesting. U.S. Open Cup is a great time for Vasquez to prove himself.
He's got to make a mark sometime because he's getting really good at sitting on the bench.
So his stock's way down.
Yeah.
And then finally, let's hit on Kevin Kratz.
Kratz fever.
Before he got that penalty last game, I was going to say his stock might be push. He has solidified himself
down.
He has solidified himself as the the first sub off the bench, maybe the second, and he's been that number one sub. But then he comes on and makes that stupid penalty. I almost want to blame him for that last game, but I can't because we missed so many chances to put it away. But Kevin Kratz, stock down.
Kratz fever.
Go get us a penalty. Go get us a free kick goal this week, and your stock will be back up.
And just if Ted Nugent was listening, I'm not trying to copy your song. No copyright infringements there. That's from a previous episode when I had an ode to Cat Scratch Fever. But now I'm mad at him. So Kratz fever is literal. I have my head is hot. I have a fever because I'm so angry at how much Kratz screwed that last game up.
I have a fever, and the only cure is opening the bins on Saturday and getting some sun. Let's go win a game. Let's go tailgate. I am excited. We have been AT Aliens United. Go hit us up on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter.
No.
Email us,
Don't.
ataliensunited@gmail.com. Stop telling me no and drink a beer. Have a good night, everybody.
Don't do it, guys. Don't stalk us on Facebook. That's creepy. That's really creepy. It's always sunny in the bins on Saturday, Joe. I'm Blake the Marshman. See you next week.